Hey everyone, it is Brian and Eric here. On this video, we want to talk to you about insider trading and how to profit off of it. Now, some of you are probably thinking, are you guys doing anything illegal? The answer is absolutely no. Just
Martha
kidding.
Stewart was.
Yeah, Martha Stewart was. This is not that. This is the legal kind of insider trading, which is perfectly legal. Now, illegal insider trading is where, like, let's say you're an executive and you tell your friend some insider knowledge, and they're basically buying a ton of stock, and you know it's going to go up or down based upon this, and it's not public knowledge. That would be the illegal kind. The legal kind is if you're an executive like a CEO or CFO, or you're on like a board of directors or anything like that, and you're basically buying stock in your own company. And legally they have to publicly file a form basically saying as such. And I think they have like something like 48 hours, or it's within like a couple days, a short amount of time that they have to disclose that. Um, and when they do, that can be, a pretty interesting signal on if they think the company is going up or down. It's whether they're basically buying or selling. Now, if they just get shares because of like a deal that they have, where they're basically getting shares for free, that doesn't really mean a ton. But if they're actually buying on the open market, that's a pretty good signal right there that they think the company is going to do better, especially if it's a decent chunk of their overall portfolio. Now, if someone's like, hey, they bought $1 million worth and it's only like, a tenth of a percent, of what they own in the stock there, maybe not a huge deal. But hey, if they increase their position by 50%, or maybe maybe 100%, or maybe like a 2 or 3x, that's a very big sign. I mean, even if they increased it by like a fifth or like a quarter or anything like that, that's a very, very good sign.
Or even just a
Right
large
there.
amount of money, but not a big increase in their position size.
Yeah. Yeah, so like anytime there's like a large amount, that's a good sign. And you might ask, well, why? And it comes down to basic common sense. I mean, if you're an executive and you think your company is going down the crapper, are you about to throw a lot of your own money into it? Probably not. Whereas if you think, hey, you think the company is going to do well, you like everything about it, you know the most about your own business than anyone else, you're probably going to throw more of your money into it. Likewise, if you dump like 90% of your shares, that's probably a good indicator that something's up. It's probably not just you having to pay a tax bill, or having to buy like a house or anything like that. If you're basically dumping almost your entire amount, that's not a good sign. And as a normal everyday stockholder, or stock trader, I should say, you want to be made aware of that stuff. So in this video, we're going to show you how you can actually profit off of insider trading. And we're going to show you inside of Trade Canary, which is a software tool of ours that you can use it for all sorts of things. There's tons of data. I mean, there's nothing else out there like this. There's tons of ways to profit off of different stocks and such with this and find opportunities. But we're going to specifically focus on here insider trading, because I think that's a bit of a controversial topic, and it's actually a lot easier to find winners than you might think. Now, of course, what we're doing right here, this is again a video that we're shooting live, no prior practice on this or anything. So anything you see here is the first time we're seeing it. So nothing's actually scripted here. And what's neat with that, as well, it'll kind of give you an inside view of what our thoughts are, and how we find these opportunities. So I'll move it over to you, Eric. I know you have the Trade Canary software up. We'll have a link for those that are interested in the description as well, if you want to jump on it. But you can follow us along as we see what's out there and what kind of insider trading is going on, and how we can possibly make money off it. But right before I do that, I just want to also say, again, this is one of those things where anytime you do any kind of trading, there's always risks involved. Don't take our word for anything. Do your own due diligence. One of the things I love about this software is it kind of allows you to kind of do your own due diligence. We're showing you like the actual data. You
Instead of
can,
relying on social media or some comment,
yeah,
you buy a stock because of that,
like
which is the worst way to invest or trade.
yeah, like you don't have to take our word for it. I'm not saying like, we're good or bad guys or anything like that. I'm just saying that, hey, we're going to show you the actual data right here. You can kind of see it for yourself. Do your own research. Of course, we could be absolutely crazy, could be absolutely nuts. No guarantees. But yeah, so with that, let's take a look here inside a Trade Canary and see if we can find any good insider trades.
So I like how you said that, which is it's common sense. This if the CEO is buying, are they betting on their company or not? Of course they are, right? And they would know more than we could. So right there we have a wedge into something that gives us leverage or knowledge that maybe we wouldn't have otherwise. The insider is showing you they trust where the company's going, especially if they're putting a good amount of money down. So let's go on to, we're on the dashboard of Trade Canary right now. We have the latest insider transactions right here. I check this every day and just see what are the top 3 insider transactions. So right off the bat, you can see we have HBI with a 400K purchase. We have a CEO, president and CEO of Bruker Corp, BRKR, 662,000. And actually what I like about this little widget here is you can get a quick view into the company as well. So we can see that we've greened out some of these key metrics for the pricing of a stock. In this case, the ratios are in what we call the green zone, meaning we like the risk to reward of buying the stock here or doing it with options maybe. And then last but not least, we've got a $2 million purchase from Michael Mahoney at CVS. He must be a director because he doesn't have a title up here. So actually, you know what? This CVS one looks great because look how compressed the price to book on CVS is, 1.1. Price to sales, 0.2. That means they're making a lot of sales and it's not being reflected in the stock price for whatever reason. You can also see earnings per share, 3.66. That's killer, right? So 82 billion market cap. Let's just click on this one and see what we can find out about it. Okay, so right at the top here, we can see CVS does make money. Their debt's under control. There is insider buying. Now look, revenue decreased, earnings decreased. I mean, that happens. Companies go up and down sometimes in that way. But let's go down to the insider trading section and see what happened here. Okay, so Michael Mahoney, 30,000 shares. He paid $66.70. You know what? Let me bump over to Thinkorswim quick here, and let's just pull up CVS now that we're looking at it. Okay, so today we are at 63.56 currently, midday. Now, this Michael Mahoney put down $2 million, 123% change in his position. He also hasn't, okay. Now I'm starting to get interested. Now, before that, last May 2024, a 192% increase with 9,000 shares, and he paid 54 for those. So this is kind of what we like to see. Huge purchase, big increase in position size, and he's also down on his position, 66.70, and we're at 63.57. So we're actually getting in a little bit lower than Michael here. Now we can then, go down through the current positions of the C-suite. So we can find the CEO on here, right? So president and CEO has 1.4 million shares worth 97 million. Their average price is 57. This is actually pretty rare. A lot of the times you'll look at companies, C-suite insider positions, and they'll get like stock grants and gifts as a part of their compensation package. So their average price is going to be like 0, right? In fact, here's one right here. 0 average price. So this guy's getting paid in shares to do whatever he's doing there, EVP transformation, right? This is wonderful. So let's look over at the chart then again quick. And I'm just going to go to the 4 hours so we can see the volume profile on it. I love to look at that and see where buying's occurring. So we are top of the volume profile, but you can see something's happening here. And in fact, we got our little earnings widget down here. So $1.19 they made, so they were profitable. So right off the bat, I can tell I already like this. Now then the next question is CVS. What are they? So top here, CVS Health. American healthcare company that owns a pharmacy chain, right? So if you live in the U.S., you see CVS everywhere. They're all over the entire country, really, and so they're a well established brand. Now that doesn't mean they always will be. What do you think about this, Brian? What do you think about CVS, given this insider purchase?
Yeah, I mean, my first thought was like, hey, this guy bought a fair amount, but how much in total does he actually own? Is this a tiny amount? Is it not?
It's a
But when
good
I
question.
found out that it was like I think you said like 120 or some like huge percent increase right there. He's
123%. Yep.
and that's you have to have a lot of confidence in order to be able to do that, especially when it's like, hey, he's actually buying those shares on the open market. This isn't like he got those shares for free as part of a compensation
He
package,
paid
which,
more than you will if you buy today.
yeah, and that's I mean, I'm just guessing he probably knows a lot more about his business than you or I do.
Yep.
um, so if he's willing to double down on it, that kind of gives me hopes that hey, might not necessarily jump up in the next day or two or the next week, but he probably has hopes that, hey, over the next course of like, several months or so, or maybe over the course of the next year,
Yes.
my guess is it's probably more of a timeline of like months or so, because, most guys usually look like basically quarter to quarter and such, or a bit more long term than just, a week or two.
Which then
Uh,
changes how we'll express that trade then too, right? Because
yeah.
if we're just doing it purely through options, we can't go out a month based on an insider purchase because he's thinking long term. Like
Yeah.
like you
So
said, right?
like,
So yeah.
yes, that all looks like a very good sign to me. But then what I like to personally do is, hey, I like to always say, hey, what is something that I think has a lot of upside, but in my view, a lower risk. And what that is, hey, I don't want to necessarily, I mean, not necessarily jump in a ton. If there's like a business that, hey, let's say, they're losing a ton of dough, they have a bunch of debt, their price to earnings is astronomically high, and there's insider trading. I'm like, it has a risk or it has a chance of basically going up, but it could be a big risk. Whereas if they're making money, or like, the price to earnings isn't insane, and there's a handful of other factors that are also looking good, that makes me think, hey, this could be, maybe a pretty good bet right there.
Look at this. Look at this, Brian. So here's the option positioning out 180 days. So you can see right here 63 where we're at currently, right? So we've got a skew to the on the put side. And all the calls are actually in the money basically. So this is positioning from probably back here. And now we're at the top of this volume profile range. And look, we've got a little bit of a double top forming here. So let me just show you something else in Trade Canary. So we have this range trader feature. You can see that our system knows we're top of range against the put skew and the price, the historical price over the last couple of months and weeks. So we're actually getting a put signal on this right now. So we could do this a couple different ways, right? So if you already know the option game, we could be expressing this trade in a couple different ways. We could just go straight up with puts and pull back into this consolidation zone that you can see. Let's look at the daily here quick and see what that range actually looks like over time. So here's that consolidation, and we got a big gap here too. So I'm actually loving finding this insider buy, because it's actually revealing potentially a shorter term trade where we can do this out. We can play this out with puts. And then we get long down here at the 55 handle with calls. Then we can do it shorter term with calls, right? Because if we pull back down into the 50s and the upper 50s with our puts, then we load up on the calls and join that insider on his position. And we're in much lower than the insider at that point. So that's kind of how we're thinking about it. Do you have any thoughts or questions about what we just looked through here, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, that's really interesting. I mean, I'm sure there's like a handful of people saying, well, wait, you just said there's insider buying, but you're saying to do puts on it.
Yes. It
So
goes to your point, and it's a perfect point, which is we can't use an insider buy as a short-term trade signal.
Yeah. So for those that are basically confused, saying, "Well, wait, you're contradicting yourself." Well, no, not necessarily. We're saying, "Hey, the insider, likely thinks that in the long term that he's going to make money, hopefully, because otherwise he wouldn't be doubling down on it. In the short term, though, hey." Who knows what would happen? What's nice about the software here is that you can kind of see, hey, on the short term, it's looking, hey, it might have a bit of a pullback. So if you're an options trader and you're thinking more short term, hey, maybe you'll want to do some puts based upon what you see right there. If you're more of a long term, it might not even matter a ton right here. Or if you're long term, you can also say, hey, he's basically buying in right now. Or what I think was like the CEO you said was, or some executive was. But you look at the chart and say, hey, it looks like there might be a bit of a pullback. So maybe you wait a little bit until there's a pullback and then you buy in to get even more of a gain possibly. But that's why it's useful to have a bunch of data like this, a bunch of tools where you can have it all in one place, see all that stuff, and make decisions based upon that right there, and not just say, hey, there's an insider, therefore we buy, or hey, there's an insider selling, therefore we sell, because it might be, hey, they're selling only a tiny amount, and it might be to cover their taxes, or it might be part of a plan where like a year ago they already had this in place to sell and whatnot right there. Let's actually go back and see if we see anything else too. Like just give maybe another example.
Okay, so this time we're going to go to the actual insider trading tool. And this, we can just look through the log that comes into the SEC and scan it and look for, big purchases. Or we can go to top recent insiders. And here we see our CVS, but now we can go back through all of those sets of threes as they come in from the SEC. So we can just look through this and find a good, solid company with a larger purchase. So here, in fact, I saw this the other day. There's Pfizer at 25.65. Pfizer's been stuck in a range, and it's a good company. So it's nice to see that on 213. So this was 7 or 8 days ago. Ronald Blaylock put down $500,000, and they also pay a dividend. So good company. I'm not ready to jump in Pfizer yet because it has been stuck in that range. Look at this, Brian. So here's ASIS. So this actually, we got in on this as sort of a shorter term trade. And the reason go ahead.
Oh, no, yeah, I was saying, yeah.
Yeah, there's ASIS. So this is what alerted us to ASIS. And you can just see why we clicked on this one. It's not that big of a purchase, but 485, it's 569 today. We got 20% on this. And, I guess I'm kind of contradicting myself here. We don't really do shorter term trading based on insider positioning. However, in this case, we looked at the company, we looked at the chart, and we could tell it was about to break out. So we got in this one with the insider around the 480 mark. It's 569 today. I want to say it spiked to like 650. So great way to find a solid company here. You can just see it's green on the screen as compared to the one next to it, NGL, Energy Partners, right? They've got a lot of debt. They don't make money. So we just kind of skip over that sort of one.
And just to put that into perspective too, we actually saw that and essentially jumped on it and got that gain, and essentially got those gains in what was that, like a matter of days, I think.
It was like 2 or 3 days, 20 something percent. And we just did it through shares too, 1,000 shares.
Yeah. So that was like straight up shares, less risky than options and all that.
Yep.
And that's one where we would not have known about that if it wasn't for this right here. And that's one that we mentioned in our newsletter as well to our members, where it's like, hey, you might want to pay attention. We're seeing this right here. So we see ones like this every day.
We do.
And that's what I absolutely love about the tool right here is that, you can not only see the insider trades, you can also, maybe see some up and coming ones, and you can dive a little deeper and get some more info on them.
Think about this too. So another couple little pro tips. So on these little cards here, you can see the company summary, the ratios, their market cap, but you can also just do a quick preview of what they do, because we want to know what we're buying, unless you're just jumping on momentum trades or something like that. That's not for me. I like to actually combine investing and then use options with my investments. But look at this one. So we said you can't really use short term, you can't do short term trades necessarily with insiders. It's not reliable. Let's just say that. But if you look here, this guy, 112K, the CFO is my favorite insider purchase because he knows the books. The CEO might just buy the stock, right, to give a signal to the market. The CFO, though, knows the books. So he's really the guy you want to find. But look, he bought at 944, 1065 today. This one, he doesn't have a title. He's probably just a director. But he bought at 28. It's 32 today. So we're not saying you can't do this in a short-term sense. In fact, just scanning through these, 21 he paid, 2268 today, 22, 23, 2708, 2708, right? So that one hasn't moved. But regardless, you can get a quick view into these companies with these cards. And that's how we think about it, what we just described. In fact, here's another one. I actually bought this one based on the insider purchase. And I actually sold it when it spiked. It was shorter term, but when I looked at the company, I said, these guys are amazing and they pay a great dividend. It's a super solid business. Look at that. So everything that we say as kind of the top metric of a company's health is all green on MDU. They also pay a dividend, and you're at the bottom of the 52-week range. So, we can kind of just quickly go through these and find real solid, legit trades by as insider as the signal, and then just go a little bit deeper. Look at what that company is, check the chart, see what it makes sense to do it with. Options, stock, or some combination of both.
Yeah, and what I love about the software as well is that, not only can you use it to find new opportunities with insider trading, as well as a bunch of other things too, but if you like insider trading, if you like the angle, if you think you should be, alerted to new opportunities on top of it, you might be thinking, well, will I want to know if any stocks that I currently own, or any options for that matter, if they're getting insider trading, whether it be buying or selling? And the answer is yes, you should be monitoring that stuff, and that's why it actually has a built-in way for you to actually get an email alert on that stuff as well. So like if you have a fair amount of money in any particular stock, you probably want to be aware if, the CEO, the CFO, and, the directors and the executives and so on, if they're buying a ton more or if they're selling everything. So, if you see like, hey, there's, CFO that just sold like, 90% of his stake, that might be a signal that, hey, you might want to pay attention and possibly get out of that. Because I've seen I've seen people lose a lot of money by having a big gain, and then they don't pay attention, they don't do anything, and they see those gains, sometimes turn into the negative.
Evaporation.
So I think this is a great way to get alerted, kind of like before, the majority of people get alerted to this stuff, so you can be among the first to take action. And with that, I just want to basically end with, obviously, awesome strategy. If you're interested in learning more about how to do these things and more, and how to use Trade Canary, we do have a link in the description below. But I just want to say there's one very interesting thing that you said, Eric, that I think would be great for one of our next videos. And you talked about range trading briefly. I don't know if people heard that or know what that is, but that's actually a pretty cool way to profit off of even a relatively flat stock. So if you have a stock that hasn't really moved much, even in like years, a lot of people would say, hey, that's a bad stock, you should stay away. Not necessarily.
It can be one of the best.
Yeah, it can be one of the best ones, one of the easiest ones to actually make money off of. So I think we'll make a video on that, perhaps as our next one right here, on how to basically profit off of flat stocks. So with that, thanks much. Hope you learned some stuff, and definitely be looking at insider trading.
Cool. Have a good day.